Welcome back to our regularly scheduled programming of Daily Standup. I'm your host, the mediocre software engineer. uh, we're going to get right into it today. I'm just reporting progress on my prototype backend data pipeline design number 2. I really don't want to say that again. I might shorten that to something not that. I don't want to say that a bunch of times. You saw a video that I posted today, I think, about Docker. So you've seen my progress as to where I'm at with getting Docker up and running, getting Docker Compose to handle multiple containers. You saw the error that I was running into, so that's what I'm reporting progress on now. So I basically have my Docker file constructed enough to get the basics set up, as well as a very, very basic Docker Compose file, pre-adding the database side into it. And basically what I'm seeing, or what I'm running into, is a certificate issue where it seems like it's not picking up the right developer certificate that I trusted. I'm not really sure why. I'm not used to doing development on a Mac specifically, so maybe it's just something that I'm overlooking. I cleaned my certificates and I regenerated them, and I trusted the new certificate, so I would have thought it would pick up that. I'm not sure. I have to check my keychain access to see if maybe something's going on there. But as far as I can tell, I have a valid certificate and is trusted. So honestly, I'm not really sure. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. And so I'm searching online just to see if other people have run into this issue. It seems like it's a known issue. And somebody said that they were able to resolve it by manually deleting the certificate from the keychain and then generate a new one. But it's like it wouldn't let me delete it from the keychain. So I'm running into an issue there. So I'm trying to resolve it. So that's kind of where I'm at. But once I get that resolved, my application should be able to build with just running my Docker Compose up command or whatever it was to start the container, and I should be able to navigate it on my port 8080 on localhost. So in theory, I should have this prototype up and running enough where I can continue working on it, but I don't really have much more code to show on that side, at least not for this prototype. I believe the next code that I'm probably going to have up to a more functional spot is going to be my queue that I need for my engine, and where is all the data going to be sent from my engine simulator to my pipeline, because I need a way for my pipeline set up good, right? And it's going to process that data in a way that makes sense. But I think I still need kind of a throttle, right? Like to somewhere so that I can just asynchronously keep posting as much data as I want to and not have anything on the UI waiting, and then have the pipeline part of it process what's in the queue. So I'm thinking I might use a buffer block as my queue, and then dequeue items, send it through the pipeline, and then post a response back. And I'm the end part, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure how I'm going to honestly, I'm not sure how or what I'm going to be returning from that. All I know is I need that setup to be able to handle that very, very high throughput of data. So I anticipate sending, I want my overall goal, I want this to be as high throughput as possible and have zero lag on the UI. So I want to be, if my engine's sending 100,000 data points a minute, I want to be able to handle that. And a queue is going to allow me to do that. So that's what I'm going to set up. That, I don't know if I'm going to spin that off into prototype 3. I think I might have to be honest with you, because I think that that's the next logical step in this process. And I think that might warrant its own architecture and design meeting for me to graph what my plan is, right? Because I need to put that in a graph anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, let's go ahead and add a card to my to-do column, and we're going to say prototype backend queue. I can never spell queue. Okay. Queue design number 1. I don't know if I'm going to have another one spin off of this. or what, but let's go ahead and spec this out. Remember what, why, and done when. So my what is build a prototype of a queue to handle messages. I want this abstracted a little bit. I don't want to make it immediately dependent on my engine data. I just want to build a generic queue to be able to handle messages, right? The queue really shouldn't matter ideally what the data is. So that's what I'm going to try to program to some interface to allow me to say, hey, here's my queue, and here's maybe an abstracted data type that I'm sending to it, maybe some kind of unit. I don't know yet. So that's what we're going to figure out. So build a prototype of a queue to handle messages, and that's it. Why? We need to be able to handle very high throughput of data coming from the front end. Again, I'm not trying to code this specifically to my engine yet. This is going to be the overall design of the system, so it needs to just be as generic and abstract as possible. That's really the goal with, I think, system design. So handle very high throughput of data. That looks good. Done when we have working code. Perfect. As far as these prototypes and design tickets, I'm deliberately trying to, or my goal is, I don't know if I'm achieving that goal, but my general goal is I'm trying to be as vague and unprescriptive as possible, right? Because this is the whole thing, right? This is the whole reason we're doing this prototype, is say, hey, let's try to figure out a solution and let's see what works and what doesn't. And that's really the goal of this whole thing. So this is going to give us room to do that. We have to estimate this. So I'm going to estimate it at least a 3. I'm not going to go lower than that. So I'm going to put this at a 3. And honestly, I might drag that into... No, I'm just going to leave it to do and then drag it to the top. I believe... Okay, so I'm kind of going back on my architecture and design meetings ticket, because initially I put review solutions proposed in prototype 1 and 2, and then make a decision. So once prototype 2, I move into done, assuming that I am able to get the Docker stuff set up in a timely manner. I'm then going to have an architecture meeting again to review what it looks like so far, what's the current state. We may do some modeling to show, what pieces, what's there, how are they talking, and things like that. That's going to be that architecture. So that would be really the second architecture meeting. Once that's done, then I'm going to go right into my queue design, and I may have another architecture meeting just based on the queue design, because that's really going to be a super big part of this application is what does your backend design look like? How is it handling these high throughput of messages? And how is it handling failed messages? And how is it handling if we get 50,000 data points of whatever it is, what is it doing with that? Where is it going? What's the latency like? Things like that. So I'm honestly really excited for the queue part of this. I think it's going to be really fun to implement. I think it's going to be really neat to see the performance immediately, because the benefit you get with queues is that you can load test them pretty easily, right? Like whether you just code something on the front end to just spam messages, which I may do. I may just make a loop of 50,000 and then just let it run, right? Like tie it to a button and click that and it'll send up like 50,000 then. So the queues are really nice because like they're real experimental, right? They're like you can immediately see what works, what doesn't pretty easily. They should be highly unit testable, which is another aspect of this application that once I kind of get out of the prototyping phase, I think I begin introducing tests and everything like that. I've held off on that a couple reasons. Just because I'm still kind of working through design and prototype, and I don't really feel like I'm ready to kind of go down the testing road. And my knee jerk reaction is I was going to say I don't want to back myself into a corner with tests, because that would suggest that I kind of already know the solution, and I really don't. I'm just kind of seeing what works. So that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, we will be adding tests. Yeah, so that's that. It's good that our to-do list is getting long, right? We need work in our to-do column. So I should be dragging prototype 2 into to do or into done. My guess would be on Friday. It's just that this error, I have to figure out what the error is. It's just a certificate error, and I just have to figure out like what's happening. So that's really where we're at. But yeah, so that I think I'm going to call it there for today's stand-up, and I will see you on the next one.